my Wireshark friends, and welcome to another video on something really cool that you can do with Wireshark, especially for you people who have huge packet captures on super fast interfaces. And you find perhaps working with Wireshark can be slow and cumbersome when you're doing things like statistics and things like that. So let me show you a clever trick and also, I guess, demonstrate a little bit behind the scenes of how Wireshark can be sped up and be used, I think, much more efficiently when you're dealing with these, ginormous packet captures. Okay, now I have a packet capture here called bigcapture.pcapng, and I'm just going to open this up. I am in my default profile. I've modified this a little teeny bit from what really is default. Other than that, it is really just a default profile. Okay, so in this packet capture, if we just scroll all the way down to the bottom here really quick, you can see there's 516,000 packets in the packet capture. Now, for some of you, this really wouldn't be considered very big. And I get that, but I think this will be big enough that you will see what I'm talking about and how you can speed up the way that Wireshark works. All right, so let's first of all do kind of a side-by-side comparison of how long it takes Wireshark to really process 516,000 packets. And the way that I'm going to demonstrate this is, again, I said I'm in my default profile. I'm going to change to what I call my better default profile. Okay, so I'm going to click on here and I'm going to say better default. Now, because I've done that, it requires, you see down here on the bottom, that Wireshark sort of reprocesses all these packets. Okay, and it took several seconds for that to occur. Let's get a little measurement of that. So I'm going to switch back here and then I'm going to count. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to default. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000. Okay, so it takes about 5 seconds on my machine operating with whatever's running on the machine to do that right now. Okay, so about 5 seconds. Let's go back the other way from default to the better default. Let's count again. Here we go. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000. There you go. Okay, so right about 5 seconds to go all the way through this packet capture. Now, part of the reason that it takes Wireshark that amount of time is that it's certainly applying all these things that are different from one profile to the other, like different coloring rules and so forth. But it's also about really finding every packet and then aligning that packet and dissecting that packet to some set of protocols. Now, by default, so let's go back to the default profile for a second. So if you're in your default profile, and it's going to take 5 seconds for this to happen, there we go, and you click on Analyze and then Enabled Protocols, you will get this pop-up. And in the pop-up, if you scroll down sort of with the scroll bar so you can see, look at all the protocols that are ticked here. Okay, I'll just go back up. So every one of these protocols is essentially turned on. And that means that with every, beginning of every packet, Wireshark is trying to align that, whatever the contents are, whatever the bytes and bits are of that packet, to one of these protocols, one of these dissectors. And then, of course, it's going to go ahead and process that dissector. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the programmers here. Their code works incredibly fast. I mean, if you think about it, 5 seconds for 500,000 packets, that's not very slow. But can we make this faster? The answer is yes, and the way that I'm going to demonstrate this is as follows. Okay, so let me close this for a second. I'm going to create a new profile. I'm going to say new, and I'm going to call it no dissectors. Okay, and I'm going to say okay. Now, by creating a new profile without saying anything, it really sort of goes back to the default of Wireshark's operation. Okay, but it's still dissecting. So let's go to Analyze and then say Enabled Protocols, and then let's disable all. So all of them have been turned off, and say OK. Now remember, that has now affected this profile. Now, I don't know if you notice that, but it literally took almost no time at all, right, to run through all 500,000 packets. If I go down here, it's all 500,000 packets. They've all been found, but now none of them have been dissected. So can we do side by side? I think we can. So let's go to Profile and default, again, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000. Yeah, right around 5 seconds. Now let's go back to that no dissectors for a second. And we'll do that one. There it is. Here we go. 1 1000, 2 1000. Oh, 2 seconds. So it only took 2 seconds to just find all the packets. Now, that other time is then spent, of course, dissecting those packets and figuring out what protocols are in there and all of the analysis, of course, that the Wireshark expert does and all that stuff. But right now, that essentially is all turned off, right? So there's your sort of two endpoints, right? I've got this 516,000 packet capture. It takes about 5 seconds for Wireshark to process it. If I turn off all the dissectors, it takes about 2 seconds just to find the packets, right? So there's about 3 seconds in there with this just relatively large packet or capture that it takes Wireshark to do all that work. So you can imagine with an even bigger packet capture, this would be more evident, right? It would jump out more. Now here's one more step that I'll take it so that I can show you how you can reduce the time it takes you to process whatever captures you're looking at. You know, you got to think about what protocols do I really need to analyze, right? So we know that this was Ethernet. I didn't really point that out, but you'll just have to believe me, it's Ethernet. So let's turn on, let's actually first of all create a new profile here, and we will call it minimal dissectors. And say, okay, so this is going to go kind of back. There we go. This is going to go back with, again, all the, it's a different profile, but all the dissectors are still going to be enabled, okay? Because it's gone back to the default, all right? So let's go here, and this time we'll turn off, disable them all. Okay, so we've now basically gone back. Now I could have just copied that other profile, duplicated it, renamed it. I could have done that too, either way. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn some of the dissectors on, you know, a minimal set, okay? So we'll go to Analyze, Enable Protocols. And this time, let's begin. Now we knew this was Ethernet, so let's begin with Ethernet. So we'll search for Ethernet. And there it is, Ethernet. We'll turn that on, okay, and say okay. So all I've done is turned on the dissector that finds the Ethernet part. So you can now see that the frames are all saying they're Ethernet 2, and we're seeing those MAC addresses, okay? We're also seeing what protocol is inside. And of course, this would be further dissected if we turned on IPv4. All right, so just by turning on Ethernet, now let's sort of do a comparison, right? So let's go back to default profile, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000. Okay, so it's about 5 seconds again. And let's go back and turn on now this minimal dissectors, which is just Ethernet. 1 1000, 2 1000. See? Not so slow yet. Okay, so now let's turn on a couple more, right? So we'll go to Analyze, Enable Protocols, and let's search. And this is the best way to do it because there's so many, right? So IPv4, we'll turn that on. Let's find IPv6. And let's see, there it is. Turn that on. And let's turn on just UDP. We won't turn on TCP. We'll just turn on UDP. Let's see if we can find. We'll have to scroll down here because there's a lot of UDP here. There we go. I'm just looking for basic UDP. There we go. And say, okay. So those now have been turned on. So again, Wireshark has to rescan. Okay. And now we're starting to see the protocol IP turned on. We might see that TCP is identified, but it's not going to dissect any TCP, okay? It's going to find UDP. And when it finds UDP, it will tell us what data is in there. So you can see what this is doing. It's sort of revealing layer by layer of sort of the packet onion, what is going on. All right, let's compare the speed of this now to the default profile, okay? So let's go back to default. Again, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000. My clock is extremely accurate, isn't it? All right, so about 5 seconds. And let's go back. Oops, I just unfortunately clicked. So let's click minimal dissectors, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000. So we have added in a little bit extra time here, but it's certainly not as much as just the default profile. So let's say, you work in a central office and you deal with voice over IP. I would just turn on the voice over IP protocols, right? You don't have to worry about TCP or any of that stuff. Let's say you work in the data center and all you really worry about is like VXLAN or something like that. Again, you need IP, you need Ethernet, and then you just need VXLAN. And maybe you don't care about anything inside VXLAN, right? So this will speed up these huge, packet captures. Again, mine is not ginormous. This is 500,000 packets is not a lot for some of you. And so I hope this little demonstration of how you minimize these packet dissection parts of Wireshark can speed up the way you handle these huge packet captures. I hope you found this interesting. Remember, capture every day. I'll see you in another video.